The cameras flash,
Yeah.
a notification pops up on your phone, and just like that, the entire internet has a brand new villain to tear apart.
A villain that, they completely invented out of thin air.
Exactly. The headline was designed to make your blood boil. It literally read, "She married him 3 months after her ex died."
So manipulative, just perfectly engineered for maximum outrage.
Right. Well, welcome to StarScope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today's deep dive is wild. We are taking a massive stack of sources, so, entertainment reporting, Wikipedia pages, celebrity news, to unpack the Montana wedding of actress Heather McComb to actor Scott Michael Campbell.
And more importantly, we're looking at how the internet completely weaponized that beautiful event against her just because her ex-husband, James Beek, had tragically passed away recently.
It is a classic case of context collapse.
Oh.
But before we get into the actual timeline, which, spoiler alert, completely destroys the troll narrative, make sure you're subscribed to the show. You do not want to miss out on the twists we have coming up today.
Yeah, you really don't. Because the story is basically what happens when millions of people skip the entire movie, walk in for the last 5 minutes, and then start screaming that the plot makes absolutely no sense.
That is the perfect analogy. You are just aggressively ignoring 2 hours of crucial context because you showed up late. So let's look at what the internet actually saw first.
Right, the very limited data points.
Yeah. So on Saturday, May 30th, 2026, 49-year-old actress Heather McComb married 54-year-old actor Scott Michael Campbell.
Which, is a totally normal thing for working actors to do. The press reported on it normally.
Totally normal. Until the trolls arrived. Because James Beek tragically died of colon cancer earlier that year, on February 11th, 2026.
And he was only 48. It was a huge, heartbreaking loss.
It really was. But the internet looked at those two isolated dates, February death, May wedding, and they just lost their minds.
They immediately cast her as this callous, grieving widow who was basically sprinting to the altar.
Sprinting. I have some direct quotes here from the comment sections we pulled from the sources. One person literally wrote, "Mourning doesn't last too long, does it?"
Wow, that is so gross.
It gets worse. Another user stated, "He's only been dead 3 months and she couldn't wait to get remarried. She didn't have time to grieve."
It's just wild how confident people are when they're completely wrong.
Right. And someone even theorized she married for money because the turnaround was, quote unquote, too quick.
Which is just, it's hilarious and sad because here's the massive reality check that ruins their entire soap opera. Heather McComb wasn't James Beek's widow.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. Why does the internet refuse to do a simple Google search before getting furious?
Because outrage feels better than fact-checking.
Seriously. If you look at the readily available public record, Heather and James were married from 2003 to 2010.
Right. They had been divorced for 16 years.
16 years. James's actual widow is Kimberly. They got married in 2010, and together they share 6 children. How do thousands of people just ignore a 16-year gap?
Well, nuance doesn't go viral, right? A headline saying, amicable ex-wife of 16 years gets married, that gets 0 clicks.
0.
But framing a woman as a villain plays into all these awful, historically misogynistic tropes about how women are, supposed to mourn. They wanted a villain so badly, they cast Heather in the role without even checking her IMDb page.
It's a terrifying look at how quickly a false consensus forms online. But wait till you hear what came next, because the fans actually fought back.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is how the ecosystem actually attempted to correct itself. While the trolls were incredibly loud, the fans who actually followed these actors stepped in like a dam against the outrage.
He really did.
They were aggressively pointing out the 16-year gap in the comments, basically shutting down the trolls with pure math.
We saw comments directly pushing back, saying, "You don't even know this is his ex-wife from 16 years ago, so stop pretending you care."
It became this real-time battle between manufactured drama and historical fact.
But even if you were listening to this right now and thinking, okay, sure, they were divorced for 16 years, but getting married the exact same year your ex dies still feels a little sudden.
Which is a natural thought, but it's still wrong. Because they didn't just mess up her past timeline.
No, they completely missed her present timeline, too.
Right. Everyone assumed Scott was this 3-month rebound.
Which is so funny when you look at the facts.
It really is. The reality of Heather and Scott's relationship is basically a masterclass in a slow-burn romance. It dismantles the internet's narrative even further.
Break that down for us. because the sources paint a picture of a very different kind of Hollywood relationship.
So they were best friends for over 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, navigating the highly unstable entertainment industry as purely platonic friends for a decade and a half. They didn't even turn romantic until 2023.
Which completely shatters that idea of a rushed rebound. And if we look at the mechanics of their engagement, the outrage looks even more foolish.
Absolutely.
When did they actually get engaged?
Scott proposed in April of 2025.
A full year before the tragedy.
Almost exactly a year. They were by a river on a trip to Montana. The venue was booked. The wedding train had left the station long before James passed away.
And I have to say, the wedding details we found in the sources are incredible. I know the internet wanted this scandalous Hollywood blowout.
Oh, they always do.
But it was actually deeply personal. They went back to Missoula, Montana for an outdoor ceremony. Heather's own sister, Essence, officiated it.
The aesthetics really reflect who they are as a couple. Just a nice blend of traditional Hollywood history and grounded, rustic reality.
I love the fashion details we pulled.
Yeah.
Heather wore this gorgeous, lace-embellished gown with a long train, classic veil, cross necklace, right?
Very classic.
But then she adds this wonderful twist, sparkly white cowboy boots.
Oh, I love that so much.
And poking out over the top of the boots were these socks that literally read, "I heart my husband."
That is so sweet.
She actually swapped the boots out later for silver and white sneakers just so she could dance in the grass uninhibited.
Practical bride. And Scott was very classic, too. White tuxedo jacket with black trousers.
But the detail that really caught my eye was the bridal party.
Oh, my gosh, yes. It was massive. 13 bridesmaids standing with Heather and 12 groomsmen with Scott.
A 25-person bridal party. People treat relationships like a stock market graph on the internet. They only see the sudden spikes and the crashes.
Yes, exactly.
They assume this is a sudden spike. But a 15-year friendship culminating in a wedding with 25 of your closest friends standing next to you.
Yeah.
That isn't a stock market spike. That's a tectonic plate.
Right.
It's been moving slowly, building pressure beneath the surface for decades before the mountain actually forms. Does knowing they were platonic best friends for over a decade completely shatter the narrative that people in Hollywood only have fleeting, superficial relationships?
It really does. It's a crucial distinction. We are culturally conditioned to view Hollywood through PR-driven spectacles. Two beautiful people meet on set, date for 3 weeks, and get married on a private island.
Totally.
But working actors, people who have been in the trenches for decades, going to hundreds of auditions, working on dozens of sets, they often build these incredibly deep, enduring communities. Having 25 people in your bridal party speaks to long-term loyalty, not fleeting fame.
And that enduring loyalty to Scott isn't an isolated anomaly in her life either. To fully understand why the internet got this so wrong, we have to look at the actual dynamic between Heather and her late ex-husband, James.
Right, because this completely dismantles another highly toxic societal stereotype.
The bitter, scorched earth divorce.
Exactly. There's a widespread expectation that a failed marriage must equate to lifelong animosity.
It's such an exhausting script. What does the history actually show us about Heather and James?
Well, they got engaged in early 2003, married in July of that year in Malibu, and were together for about 6 years before separating in April 2009. But the sources note that their divorce was finalized in 2010 through mediation.
So no public disputes.
None. No leaked documents to the tabloids, no mudslinging. They resolved the end of their marriage quietly and respectfully.
And the proof of that respect is how they interacted over the next 16 years. When James passed away, Heather posted an incredibly emotional public tribute.
It was really beautiful.
She shared a black and white photo of them from her 21st birthday. This was way before he even became a global superstar playing Dawson Larry.
Wow, that goes so far back.
Yeah, and she called him innocent, kind, and pure of heart. She praised his deep love of God, and she specifically shared that she will treasure the last loving words they exchanged.
Which is profound. The fact that they were still actively exchanging loving words right up to the end. It demonstrates an active, maintained friendship that survived the death of the romantic relationship.
She also publicly supported James's widow, Kimberly. She actively referred to James and Kimberly as true soulmates.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it displays a level of emotional maturity that the outrage-driven internet fundamentally cannot process. Social media operates in binary code.
Right. You're either a hero or a villain.
Exactly. It's either true love or you are bitter enemies. The internet has no algorithm for a complex, evolved human connection.
Not at all.
Heather and James transitioned from spouses to lifelong friends. Heather was able to celebrate James's new life with his true soulmate while simultaneously building her own new life with her best friend.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. We are fed this cultural script that if a relationship ends, it was a failure, and you have to burn the bridge.
Which is so destructive.
I view their post-marriage friendship like graduating from a school, but still deeply loving the campus. You know, just because you've learned what you needed to learn there, and you've moved on to a completely new chapter, it doesn't mean you have to burn the old building down to prove you've moved on.
That is a great way to put it. You can cherish the time you spent there without living in it.
Exactly. You can honor the people who are still inside.
But that requires setting aside ego and prioritizing shared history. It's the definition of adult behavior, which is, ironically, what made her such a target for trolls who thrive on juvenile drama.
Later in the episode, we are going to talk about a shocking twist involving a literal royal wedding that nobody saw coming.
Oh, I cannot wait to get into that part.
But first, if you're loving these Hollywood twists and want to hear more about the actual truth behind the tabloids, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Seriously, subscribe so you don't miss out, because we have so many more crazy stories ahead.
All right, let's zoom out and look at the actual careers of a bride and groom. Because the mechanism that allowed those trolls to attack her is the exact same mechanism that makes the general public fundamentally misunderstand how Hollywood works.
We look at a snapshot and assume we know the whole movie.
Exactly. Exploring their Hollywood resumes proves something I've always suspected. Character actors have infinitely more interesting lives than A-listers.
Oh, absolutely. They are the connective tissue of the entertainment industry. A-listers live in highly insulated bubbles, surrounded by managers and publicists.
Right.
Character actors are the blue-collar workers of Hollywood. They are on a different set every month, interacting with hundreds of different crews over a 30-year span.
Walk us through Heather's career, because she did not just stumble into this industry.
Not at all. She actually started acting at age 2.
2 years old.
Yes, in a Publishers Clearinghouse commercial. She essentially grew up on camera. Later, she starred as Maggie in Party of Five in the late 90s and had a recurring role as Patty on Showtime's Ray Donovan.
But she also holds a massive milestone in geek culture, which I love.
Let's hear it.
She was the very first live-action Jubilee in the 1996 Generation X pilot for Fox.
No way. The one with the yellow coat.
The iconic yellow coat. The show didn't go to series, but she was the very first person to play that iconic X-Men mutant.
That is incredible trivia.
So what about Scott? Where does he fit into this ecosystem?
Well, Scott's resume is incredibly dense. He's the kind of actor whose face you instantly recognize, even if you have to look up his name.
Oh, for sure.
He was in Brokeback Mountain. He had a great run on Shameless. He was in the remake of Flight of the Phoenix. But there is one role on his resume that contains the most incredible, surreal, real-world irony regarding weddings.
Oh, this is my favorite detail from all the sources.
Yeah.
Explain his connection to the royal family.
Okay, so Scott played Father Sam Walker on the USA Network show Suits. And in that role, he was the fake priest who actually officiated the television wedding of Meghan Markle's character, Rachel Zane, to Patrick J. Adams' character.
He literally fake married Meghan Markle on global television.
Yes. And the irony peaks during a 2018 interview right around the time of the actual real-life royal wedding between Meghan and Prince Harry.
This is so good. Set the scene for us.
So Scott is at a charity event for Lupus LA, which is a cause he actively advocates for because he lost a dear friend to the illness. And a reporter naturally asks him if he scored an invite to the real royal wedding, considering he officiated her TV wedding.
Naturally.
Yep.
His response is so perfectly grounded. He jokes that he wouldn't be making it because he got knocked out of the invite list by the Spice Girls.
I love that.
He literally told the reporter, I think the Spice Girls knocked me out, so I probably won't make the royal wedding.
This raises an important question for you listening at home. When we consume celebrity culture, where are we putting our attention?
That is the big question.
We constantly obsess over the A-listers who dominate the tabloids, whose lives are heavily curated and smoothed over by PR teams. But it's often the working character actors who have these richly intertwined, deeply fascinating lives.
Isn't it beautifully poetic? The guy who fake officiated one of the most famous, globally obsessed over TV weddings of the decade just had this incredibly real, down-to-earth wedding.
With a 25-person bridal party in the mountains of Montana.
Exactly. There was no royal pomp, no global broadcast, just sparkly cowboy boots, a sister officiating, and a best friend of 15 years standing across from them.
It's a perfect encapsulation of their lives. They're the ones actually living out the movie scripts while the internet is busy writing fake soap operas about them.
Yes.
They are building 15-year friendships that slowly turn into marriages. They are maintaining decades-long, respectful friendships with their ex-spouses. And they're joking about losing their royal wedding seats to posh spice.
The real stories in Hollywood are almost always happening just outside the center frame, which is exactly why we do these deep dives. We have to bring what's outside the frame into focus.
So true.
So let's wrap this up and summarize what we've learned from this stack of sources today. If there is one core takeaway, it's that you must always look past the clickbait.
The headline is never the whole story. And it is almost always designed to manipulate your emotions rather than inform your intellect.
What started as a scandalous outrage bait headline, "She married him 3 months after her ex died," turned out to be something entirely different when we actually looked at the timeline and the people involved.
It was a story about a 15-year platonic friendship blossoming into a beautiful, rustic Montana wedding.
Right. It was a story about a 16-year post-divorce friendship full of unimaginable grace, mutual respect, and emotional maturity. And as a genuinely fun bonus, it was a story about a working character actor who surrendered his royal wedding seat to the Spice Girls.
It serves as a reminder that reality is almost always more heartwarming and certainly more complex than the binary assumptions we make when we are scrolling through our feeds.
So we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. We've talked a lot about how the internet wastes this energy manufacturing outrage, but turn that lens inward.
Think about your own life.
Exactly. If our society spent as much energy celebrating the slow, steady, and sometimes beautifully evolved friendships in our own lives as the internet spends looking for reasons to be angry at total strangers, how dramatically would our own relationships change?
How much healthier would our own local communities be if we assumed grace instead of immediately assuming the worst?
Next time you walk into the movie theater for the last 5 minutes of the film, maybe just sit down, grab some popcorn, and take the time to ask someone what happened in the first 2 hours before you start yelling at the screen.
Such good advice.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.